Good morning, everybody, and we are live. Hope your coffee is as good as mine. We've got some really good news and some serious things going on in the world, so let's just dig right into it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your morning is going as good as mine. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. I am telling you, I am really happy. And I'm sure you're happy too. You've seen everything that's been going on. Kamala Harris raised $200 million in a week. In a week, $200 million. White dudes for Trump. They had well over 100,000 people show up for white dudes for Trump. All the Zoom calls have just been amazing. But more than that, people are turning out in person. This is Atlanta. You know, that MAGA always likes to talk crap about their stupid rallies. And these Trump rallies, I've actually shown you this in prior shows before. You get the same morons there over and over. I don't know who these people are. I don't know how they can afford to do this, but they travel around in buses. We laughed at one not too long ago, some weirdo with Jesus stuff all over his RV got into a wreck outside one of the rallies. We had a good time with that. But this is just average folks in Atlanta showing up, super excited to see Kamala Harris. Look at this crowd. Now that's how you fill a stadium, folks. That's how you fill a stadium. That is sweet. Everybody's excited. And we've got news on the VP front. We do. Well, before we get there, some news. Kamala Harris is now the nominee. I know we haven't had the virtual roll call. That's going to happen starting tomorrow. We found out, remember, we said we didn't know if it was going to be the first, sometime in the next week. Found out the virtual roll call is going to start tomorrow. But yeah, I love you folks. The comment caught my eye. Yeah. No please clap signs. Yeah. You folks are hilarious. Y'all crack me up. But yeah, the virtual roll call, we found out, is actually, you remember we said they were kind of keeping it on the down low when that was going to happen for security reasons. It was going to be sometime between the 1st and the 8th. They didn't say, well, they've come out and said it's going to start on the 1st. It'll start tomorrow. This is the last day of July, folks. Man, this year is zooming by. It is zooming by. Mr. Texas Paul and I were shopping yesterday, and the Halloween stuff is out already. Man, I hope your coffee's as good as mine. That is hitting particularly good. My daily is Dunkin', by the way. But yeah, folks, just the momentum is insane. Good news about the virtual roll call. Get it out, Paul. Drag it out. Kamala Harris is now the nominee. Is now the Democratic nominee. The virtual roll call is now just a formality. No one else submitted the paperwork to claim delegates in the virtual roll call. She is literally the only person that is going to get 4,000 delegates. There's no one else to vote for. There was a process for claiming your delegates, and you had to submit your paperwork by 5 o'clock yesterday, Eastern time, 5 Eastern time, yesterday, to claim your delegates. And there was a bar you had to reach. You had to get 300 delegates to sign off that they were going to pledge themselves to you, and no more than 50 delegates from each individual state. No one met the bar at all. So congratulations, Vice President Harris. You are now the Democratic nominee. And we got more good news. The Veep stakes are almost over. They are almost over. I see y'all are talking about Roy Cooper. I'll go ahead and skip to that. I see y'all are already talking about Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper, like Gretchen Whitmer, withdrew himself from consideration. Roy Cooper is no longer in it. And the inside baseball, because the Harris campaign has told us they're not going to drag this out. We're going to get this done. They are going to give us the announcement within the week of who their VP choice is. Inside baseball is saying it is definitely Josh Shapiro at this point. That's what folks are saying. But the final calculus, the final nail in the coffin that handed it to Josh Shapiro was there is no way, no path to the White House for Donald Trump that does not include Pennsylvania. He loses Pennsylvania, he loses the race, period. And Josh Shapiro delivers Pennsylvania. He is well-spoken. He has a great resume. He's a serious individual. He's not a joke like J.D. Vance. He's not somebody that just runs their mouth constantly. He's actually someone who governs. He's someone with a track record. He's our guy. It looks like 100% that it's going to be Josh Shapiro is our guy. And it was the fact that he absolutely can deliver Pennsylvania. And that ends the Trump presidency right there. There is no path whatsoever for Trump that does not go through Pennsylvania, period. So, and they announced at the same time that they would be telling us who the VP choice is. They announced that their barnstorm. Remember, I told you they'll name a VP candidate. They'll go out, they'll barnstorm, then they'll do that, make appearances, generate excitement, all the way to the convention. And then after the convention, she will cut her VP loose and he will become her attack surrogate. And away we go. And it's looking like it's panning out, folks. I mean, just congratulations to you. And there's something that I wanted to thank you folks for. I don't mean to jump around, and I apologize for jumping around, but there's something I really wanted to thank you folks for. You people are making a massive difference. When I got to social media, when I first started talking to folks on social media, it was a very different environment. It was a very different environment. And I have to tell you, a lot of my videos, I was screaming at the camera because when I got here, the Republicans were doing nothing but insulting Democrats. Pretty much all they did all the time was just insult Democrats. And Democrats were like, well, we don't do that. We are on the high road. Let me tell you about my policies. And I was losing my freaking mind because ask Mrs. Texas Paul. I'm the kind of guy that if you walk up in my face and scream that I'm a commie or something like that, I will punch you in the throat. That is who I am. I'm not this, let me tell you why you're inappropriate. And no, that's not me. And that's the environment that we used to have. And I kept begging people, and more of you came out, and more of you came out. You're like, yeah, he's absolutely right about this. And more people that thought like I did came up, and I kept telling people this fact. You cannot stay on the high road. You can't. You have to swing. You have to get out there, and you cannot be the only party not participating in the politics of personal destruction. You just cannot do it. It doesn't work. You have to call them out. And there's plenty to call out there. These are not great people. You want the fact, Pat? Here's your fact. I keep it with me at all times. You have to get dirty. You have to swing. You do. And you folks coming out, and this is all you. This is you. You did this. This is purely grassroots. Weird. Calling them weird. Calling them out on being weird. The movement you've created on social media has changed politics forever. And you did that. 100%. That was all you. And I'm telling you, I couldn't be prouder to be part of your community. I couldn't be prouder, because not only are you doing that, because they're in full freak out mode about the weird thing, because there's so much ammo out there. Teresa Cello says Biden hit the pavement running in 2020 and Kamala out swinging in 24. Amen. I'm with you 100%. But this weird thing on social media, and if you're not on social media, what's going on is everybody and their brother is showing shit that right-wingers and MAGA actually have done and said, like wearing the diapers and the praying to the golden Trump and crazy crap that Trump has said. They're using real examples. And they're putting the tag, this is weird, on it. It used to be, when I first started, that people were like, well, it's just, the right wing opinion is different, and it's there, and the corporate media would never, ever, ever, ever call them out. This is not normal. They would always present it as though it was just an alternative opinion. No, it's freaking weird, man. It's nuts. It's crazy. And that's not the only thing that you've changed. That is not the only thing that you changed. The 2025 project, just a couple of months ago, it was me and a couple other politicos begging you, please read about this. This is crazy. This is absolutely 100% fascism out loud. The policies, not just the policies, but the whole, we're going to take over all the institutions of government and destroy them and hand power to our king, and all of it. We were begging people. Corporate media never mentioned it. Never talked about it. Folks, we didn't have some inside unknown knowledge. They were telling people this. They were telling people out loud what they were going to do. But the corporate media, nope, not. I'll give you an example of how bad the corporate media is. I want you to look at this. I did a search. We had some more good news, and let me throw that out there real quick. We had some more good news yesterday. We had elections in Tuesday was election day in Arizona. Well, I did a search for Ruben Gallego. You can see his name in the search box, Ruben Gallego. What did the corporate media deliver me? Kari Lake. Kari Lake. Kari Lake wins. Kari Lake. Kari Lake. Kari Lake. Kari Lake. Kari Lake. Kari Lake. I didn't ask about Kari Lake. I asked about Ruben Gallego. But every single outlet from the corporate media tried to feed me a story about Kari Lake. You're changing that. You are. You're changing that 100%. You know, when you say, I understand the assignment, folks, you not only did you understand the assignment, but you are nailing it. And the perfect example is the 2025 project. The corporate media was not going to touch that. They weren't going to mention it at all. And because you mentioned it, and because you brought it to the forefront, they had to talk about it. Because it was all you talked about, they finally had to bend the knee to you and talk about it. And when they talked about it, yeah, it blew up in their faces. When people actually found out what the 2025 project was and actually started talking about it, lay people that aren't involved in politics started hearing about this. They were disgusted. They were revolted. You had people that coming out, just standing in front of a camera, making videos on different, Instagram, X, Threads, TikTok, Snapchat, everybody standing in front of a camera and saying, I have been a lifelong Republican voter and I will never vote Republican again, ever. And what did that? They found out what the 2025 project was. They said the stupid shit out loud. And because of you, the corporate media couldn't ignore it. And you saw it with your own eyes. They were completely ignoring it. When you go back a couple months ago, and I'm begging you, please read about the 2025 project. Please, pretty. I love how informed you folks are. I do. I loved how. Look at this right here. Christy Wolf, Agenda 47 of Project 2025. That is where I'm going, folks. This is we're going to get there. You did that. You did that. You opened some people's eyes that were just going to blindly go to the polls like they always do, like lemons. I'm a Republican, been voting Republican my whole life. Don't pay attention to policy. Don't pay attention to shit. You people open their eyes, and I take my hat off to you. That's what we're doing here, folks. That's what we're doing here. And I cannot be prouder of you. I cannot be prouder of being part of your community. But we still have work to do. We still have work to do. Before we get to the work we got to do, I want to give you some more good news. Joe R. Piehole was trying to, weasel his way back into power again. He was running for mayor of Fountain Hills, Arizona. Got his ass handed to him. People are sick and tired of these freaks, these weird freaks. They are tired of it. They are done with it. They are done with it. So yeah, things are looking good. Things are looking good. We've got the roll call vote coming up. That's going to generate some more news. That's going to starting tomorrow. We'll get the roll call vote. Kamala Harris will definitely dominate the news cycle because of that. And then they're going to roll out the VP choice. Exactly, Dino Lover. Tired of the freak show. Everybody's tired of the freak show. Everybody. And we're going to talk about a couple serious subjects at the end of the show here. So stick with me as to why it's so damn important that we get things done. Another reason people are kind of suspecting Josh Shapiro is it. And granted, I'm going to put the same caveat on this. The decision has not been made. The campaign has made a few announcements. They're going to start a barnstorming tour starting next week with their VP. They have said they're going to announce the VP this week. It starts in Philadelphia. It kicks off in Philadelphia. So that's giving a lot of people. I mean, this isn't like super secret knowledge that some people have that that nobody else knows. It's like, okay, they're going to announce their VP, and then they're going to start their barnstorming tour, and they're going to start in, let me check my notes, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Kind of a clue. Oh, kind of a clue. Kind of a clue there. Definitely. Kind of a clue there. But yeah, a lot of people like Shapiro. They really do. His speaking style has been compared to Barack Obama's. He does well with a crowd. But I have to tell you, folks, I am loving how well the Harris campaign has been managing control of the narrative. They're spacing these things out. They're keeping it rolling. Again, just the sheer politics. Somebody that follows politics, you follow politics. That's why you're here. You just have to appreciate. You just have to appreciate the way they're pacing this out and handling everything to keep positive momentum going, to keep control of that narrative. And Trump is losing his frickin' mind. They are imploding like crazy. Again, kudos to you over the 2025 project. You did this. This is Paul Dans. You noticed all the times we talked about the 2025 project, I never mentioned this name. I never mentioned this guy, Paul Dans. This is actually the guy that ran the 2025 project. He is resigning, stepping down. He's the guy that's getting thrown under the bus to try to change the narrative. This changes nothing. This changes. First of all, he's not resigning. He's just moving jobs. Here's the statement they put out. The Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts. We've talked about Kevin Roberts many times. Yeah, exactly, the sacrificial pig. This is the statement from Kevin Roberts and the Heritage Foundation. Under Paul Dans' leadership, Project 2025 has completed exactly what it set out to do. Well, no shit. Bringing together over 110 leading conservative organizations to create a unified conservative vision motivated to devolve power from an unelected administrative state, destroy the institutions, and consolidate power in their king. I told you. Motivated to devolve power from the unelected administrative state and returning it to the people. No, they're giving it to the king. This tool was built for any administration to use. Yes, they are setting this up as a blueprint for because they know Trump's going to die. He is old, get a little nick in his ear, bleeds profusely. He's on blood thinners. He's got a bum ticker. He is an obese 80-year-old man. Yeah, this is not just for Trump. This is their way forward. This is what they believe. This is what they see. This is what they're going to do from now on forever. So when we began Project 2025 in April 22, we set a timeline for the project to conclude its policy drafting after the two-party conventions this year, and we are sticking to that timeline. Yeah, the 2025 project isn't going anywhere. And this has to be making Trump's head explode, because this is what the Trump campaign is trying to do. They're trying desperately to distance themselves from the 2025 project. Remember, I told you, we're in the part of we are in the part of the campaign where they try to come to everybody and say, all that shit that we just said, we didn't say it. That didn't really happen. La 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 la. Lies, lies, lies. We didn't say it. We didn't. Well, they're trying, after praising the Heritage Foundation, after all of their freaking people out of their administration working as authors in their, after literally lifting the 2025 project and making it their campaign platform, they're now trying to say, what? Us? The 2025 project? No way. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. This is their statement on the 2025. Let me blow that up for you, make it a little easier for you to read. Trump campaign statement. This is yesterday, July 30th. Trump campaign statement on Project 2025's demise. Yeah, there's no demise at all. President Trump's campaign has been very clear for over a year that Project 2025 had nothing to do with the campaign, did not speak for the campaign, and should not be associated with the campaign or the president in any way. Reports of the 2025's project demise would be greatly welcomed and should serve as notice to anyone or any group trying to misrepresent their influence with President Trump and his campaign. It will not end well for you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we had the Heritage Foundation come out and make their statement that, hey, 2025 project's going strong. But let's take a look at who's involved in the 2025 project. I told you they were going to try to do this. They were going to try to put the shit back in the horse. And you can't do it. These are all the organizations, all conservative think tanks, all the groups that make up the 2025 project. All of them. Remember, I've been warning you about these think tanks and institutes forever and how they are funded by billionaire radicals to shove their policies down your throats. These are all the different think tanks that make up the 2025 project. They've done a mapping project on the 2025 project, the people involved with it, where they come from, where the funding comes from. I mean, it's just gobsmacking how the 2025 project has become the Republican Party, period. And the Trump campaign thinks that they can just come out and say, it's dead. It's dead. Bullshit. Bullshit. These are the people that were in or worked for the Trump administration that are authors of the 2025 project, starting with Paul Dans, the guy that just got thrown under the bus. Why did he get thrown under the bus? Because he was also the chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management in the Donald Trump administration. Yeah, him getting thrown under the bus came directly from the Trump campaign. It came directly from Donald Trump. And no, he didn't get fired. He just got moved. He's still collecting his paycheck. They've got a new face for it. Stephen Groves, White House Assistant Special Counsel. Jonathan Berry, Acting Assistant Secretary for Policy at the Department of Labor. Adam Kandu. These are all authors that wrote subsections of the massive 900-plus page 2025 project. Dustin J. Carmack, Chief of Staff to the Director of National Intelligence. Brendan Carr, FCC Commissioner. Benjamin Carson, HUD Secretary. That's Ben Carson. Spencer Creighton, Associate Director of Presidential Personnel. Ken Cuccinelli, Acting Deputy Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. Rick Dearborn, Deputy Chief of Staff for President Donald Trump. Do you want me to keep reading these, or, because there's about 20 more. You want me to keep reading them, or do you get the idea? Every one of these people, yes, Stephen Miller's on the list. Every one of these people either served as an advisor or directly in the Trump campaign, or pardon me, administration. And now Donald Trump is trying to say, what? 2025 project? Never heard of it. But I know it's a bad idea. Well, if you never heard of it, how you know it's a bad idea? Now they throw the head of it under the bus that used to be his head of office, personnel management, throw him under the bus and claim it's dead. It's all dead. Yeah. You think all of these groups just suddenly quit doing everything they've been working towards for the last 2 years? You think they just stopped? No, it's that part of the campaign in which they try to put the crap back in the horse. They try to, you've heard it before, called the pivot to the main. You know, you're pivoting away from the primaries, pivoting to the general election. You've heard it classified as that before. That's where you just go and tell everybody all that shit you saw me say. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. And the corporate media, it's like, you know, I just showed you. I did a search for Ruben Gallego. All I got was Kerry Lake. I did a search for Paul Dans to get you his picture. And I just wanted you to see what the search results were. And this will tell you how much the corporate media is carrying their water. Can you read these headlines? Look, you can see the search. Paul Dans. I was doing the search to get you your image so that you could see who Paul Dans was. Project 2025 director steps down amid Trump campaign criticism. Project 2025 director steps down amid backlash from Trump. Head of Project 2025 steps down following Trump criticism. They are carrying Trump's water. None of these people tell you what the Heritage Foundation tells you themselves. They're just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic. He's just moving to another job, still doing the same damn thing he's done before. But the corporate media, oh, well, you know, the Trump, he criticized the 2025 project. The next stories will be fact check. Trump doesn't like the 2025 project. It's bullshit. I don't give a damn if I lose my monetization or not. It's bullshit. And they know it's bullshit. And they do it for him anyways, and you can see it with your own eyes. I'm telling you, Google searches are very illuminating. It gives you a complete list of what the headlines are. What are they telling people right there? No, folks, the 2025 project is 100% still their platform. They call it Agenda 47. They call it Agenda 47. If you lay it next to talking point to talking point with Project 2025, it is literally just the 2025 project plagiarized. Agenda 47, the Trump platform, reissuing Schedule F to reclassify federal employees as at-will employees, making it easier to fire them, loyalist strategy. In other words, put their loyalists in place, fire people, gut our institutions that have fealty to the law and regulation, and put people in place that have fealty to Trump. That is what they tell you. This isn't me saying, oh, well, they're going to take the 2025 project and they're going to do it. No, this is them telling you. This is Agenda 47. This is out of their campaign. The 2025 project proposes reclassifying federal employees to facilitate their removal and ensure loyalty. It's the same damn thing. It's the same damn thing. Point after point after point after point after point. Agenda 47 on the left, Project 2025 on the right. Please take a screenshot. I'll pick a random one. Imposing tariffs to protect American industries and negotiating trade deals. Implementing trade policies that protect American industries from foreign competition. Literally, Agenda 47, Project 2025, right next to each other. It's the same damn verbiage. But they put out one statement saying, oh, Trump's not happy about Project 2025 because he's getting killed because people read it and it's destroying him. So now he comes out and says, not me. No, not me. Although no one in the corporate media bothered to ask, doesn't that mean your entire platform is now gone? Are you scrapping your entire platform? Because your entire platform is Agenda 47, which is Project 2020. No, they don't do that. They don't do that. No. Trump criticized Project 2025. He don't like that 2025 because you don't like 2025, Project 2025. I am sorry, folks. I hate to be like the conspiracy theorist, but you cannot trust the corporate media. You cannot trust the corporate media. And it's not me just throwing a conspiracy theory out there. I'm showing you with your own eyes what they're saying. That's not on me, folks. That's not on me. And folks, we're getting a masterclass right now today. We are getting a masterclass on what the 2025 project ends up looking like. What do you get if you let Trump in power again? This is Nicolas Maduro. He's the president of Venezuela. And he is exactly what you get if you let Trump back in office. Exactly. What's going on in Venezuela? Exactly what will happen here if they're allowed to implement their Agenda 47 / Project 2025, if you let Trump back in power. He has gutted the institutions of Venezuela. They're having fake elections. They just had an election. And Maduro lost. All the exit polling shows Maduro lost. And if you want an example of just how comically bad this has been, I mean, how they don't even try to hide it. This is Maria Machado. Maria Machado was absolutely destroying Maduro heading into the election. Just absolutely destroying him. So Maduro just declared she can't run. Just declared she can't run. I won't have her running against me. She can't run. 2025 project. What are you going to do? Trump will control the institutions, just like Maduro. So she legally couldn't run. So Eduardo Gonzalez stepped up and ran in her place. This is his, pardon me. I said Eduardo. His name is Edmundo Gonzalez. I said Eduardo. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is Edmundo Gonzalez. He's a former diplomat. He stepped up and ran in her place. And he absolutely destroyed Maduro. All of the exit polling show Maduro just got his butt kicked, handed to him. He lost bigly. But he just said, just like Trump did on January 6th, I won. I won. I won. That's it. It's over. I won. Well, the people of Venezuela aren't having it. They're rioting in the streets, man. They are rioting in the streets. And what does Maduro do? Well, he does this. Maduro is now arresting members of the opposition. This is a member of the opposition MP just being kidnapped in his own driveway. See these people in black? They're called colectivos. They are basically armed gangs that work for Maduro. Just kidnapped him right there in his own driveway. And that's not the end of it. That is not the end of it. Everybody started saying, look, this stinks to high heaven. I mean, even the president of Colombia is like, look, you need to release the election results. People are not certifying this election. We're not accepting this election. It looks like you've lost. We're not accepting it. So Maduro sent his gangs out, and they broke into polling places and stole the ballot boxes. See the small video on the right there? I can't blow that one up any larger, but you can see them carting the boxes out, the ballot boxes out. It's about as big as I can get it. Cell phone videos, they're just grabbing the ballot boxes and running. And here you see the collectivos showing up at another ballot doing the same thing. These are not the government, folks. These guys in the black, these are pro-Maduro gangs. They just rove around armed. They just went into the state election center there and just took the ballot box. That's what you get with the 2025 project. That's what you get. The Biden administration, the Lula administration are all putting pressure on Maduro to release the detailed election results. They'll be able to vet out what's fake, what's not fake. Right now, what they're doing, Maduro said, oh, yeah, I'll release that in a couple of days because they're rewriting it. That's why they went and stole the damn ballot boxes. You know who doesn't go steal the ballot boxes? The winning candidate doesn't go steal the ballot boxes. I will put in the comments. A lot of people are asking for I keep getting a note that the people are looking for the map of all the organizations involved in the 2025 project. I will link to you the organization that's actually doing the research on that funding. I'll put it in the comments after the show. That's the 2025 project, folks. That's what you get. That is what you get. ET says it's less than 14 weeks until the general election. Make sure your voter registration, check your voter registration deadlines. Make sure that your early voting, when your early voting starts and stops, make sure to go and vote. Florida primary, early voting, August 10th through the 17th. Election day, August 20th. Thank you, ET. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. By the way, the latest polling shows Florida is in play. Ron DeSantis stupidly came out with another bizarre, weird anti-abortion law that has just absolutely thrown all the polling shows Florida is now in play. So, yeah, they keep saying the quiet part out loud. They're going to spend the next 10 weeks trying to tell you didn't see what you saw with your own eyes. But, yeah, here's Maduro. He is, you saw Freddie Superlano. That was the video I showed you of him being kidnapped. But they're going around arresting and kidnapping all of the opposition. You know who doesn't do that? The guy that won. The guy that won the election doesn't do that. It's insane. It is insane. Folks, we're getting a masterclass. We are getting a masterclass in exactly what you get if you let Trump back in power. They're telling you to your face. They're going to gut the institutions and put in loyalists, not people loyal to the job. You know, folks that are in government now are loyal to the job. They're not loyal to a party. The Republicans think they're loyal to a party because they can't control them. No, they're loyal to the job. You know, the FDA, think of name any organization. Name any organization, and you can guess where their fealty is by what they do for a living. And the Republicans are like, no, you're not loyal to us. You're not loyal to our God, our cult leader. And they're telling you to your face. So this is what you get, folks. You're getting a master class in Venezuela right now. What you get if you let the 2025 project get into place. You just do. And we just don't have time for it. We don't. There are real things happening in the world. And folks that have been longtime viewers, you'll remember we talked about the water crisis in Mexico City. Let's just update everybody. We've got a lot of new viewers here that don't know. Mexico City is the second largest city in the Western Hemisphere behind Sao Paulo. And they are out of water. Over the last few months, folks, between when we ran that story in February to now, what's happened? Bogota. Yeah, I love how informed you are. Medellin, Bogota, they're all running out of water. Mexico City, I told you what would happen. Well, it happened. They were down to rationing in some parts of Mexico City in the poorer neighborhoods. They were rationing to the point where you got water 1 day a week. 1 day a week. And they would only turn it on from like 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So you had to stay up all night and you had no water pressure because everybody turned their water on at the same time to fill buckets so that they could have water for the week. But it was never enough. It was never enough. These water delivery services were a stopgap that were filling the void. You had these trucks that were driving around and they would sell water. in Mexico City. And folks, for the poor folks, it was 25 to 40% of their income was going to pay for water. That's unsustainable. That is unsustainable. And look, for the folks that weren't here when we talked about this, like back in February, early March, here's the problem with Mexico City. It was built on a lake. It was built on a lake. Way back in the day when it was first founded, it was Lake Texcoco is what it was called. They drained the lake and built a city. This lake bed has clay soil. All right. So anybody that knows anything about clay, you understand it doesn't absorb water readily. It doesn't absorb water readily. So rain, Mexico City is prone to flooding, which is ironic because they're out of water. Because when it rains around Mexico City, the water has to run off through canals and sewers and whatnot because it doesn't get absorbed into the ground. Underneath the city, there are aquifers. And that's where they pump about 70% of their water from. But because of the clay soil, the water doesn't really soak in very quickly. As they drain those aquifers, because their usage is much greater than what they can return to those aquifers, the city is sinking. It sinks about 20 inches a year. The entire city is sinking, but it's not sinking uniformly as in like one dish. It sinks more in one place and more in another. If you Google it, I should have given you images of it. There are very popular tourist sites that you look at, and it's like Leaning Tower of Pisa because it's literally sinking. They're predicting over the next, 100 years or so, it could sink as much as 65 feet. It's sinking over 20 inches a year. Now, I want you to think about this. Think about what happens to the pipes in the ground. They get sheared because, part of the city sinks more than this part. The pipes can't stand the pressure and they shear. Yeah, 65 feet. I want you to think about it. You've seen like a pottery wheel where you've got wet clay, right? You've seen how that works. If you force water into clay, it becomes pliable. But when you squeeze it on a pottery wheel and squeeze that water out, it becomes stiffer. And it becomes stiffer because it compacts. Those reservoirs underneath, those aquifers underneath Mexico City are not, it's not like a giant lake underwater. It is water impregnated into clay soil. And as you pump the water out, the clay compacts. The city literally floats on swampy clay. Now, the problem is, as those pipes break, you lose fresh water right into the sewers. And Mexico City loses on average about 40% of the fresh water they pump to Mexico City just goes right down the drain due to leakage and breakage. Now, I want you to think about that, folks. You're talking about a city, a metropolitan area of 21 million people. They have already been rationing, and thank God they just hit their rainy season. Their rainy season is it starts about late May, June, and goes through about September is their rainy season. So thank God they've got some fresh water falling on the city. But again, they're in the surreal situation of they can't replenish the water in aquifers, and about 30% of their water comes from what they call the Cutzamala aquifer system, or pardon me, the Cutzamala reservoir system. It's 3 massive lakes that they pump water to the city. Well, these lakes are going dry. Even in the rainy seasons, they're not being replenished. So I want you to wrap your head around that. You're talking about a city of 21 million people, and there's no way to stop this train. They've started public works projects where they're creating water parks kind of things. They're not really water parks, but what they're doing is they're drilling down through the clay, and it's basically designed to be a pretty fountainish kind of thing that actually bores water directly down into the aquifers, but it's a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket. It's not enough. It's not going to work. Mexico City is facing right now what we said they would face during the last show. You've got the poorest of their population simply cannot afford to live. I mean, think about 25% of your income to 40% of your income going to just your water bill. Nothing else. So, as a result, and I've got a depiction here of what Mexico City looks like. It's literally a valley between 2 sets of mountains that floats on a reservoir. Pardon me, an aquifer. It floats on an aquifer. As that water gets pumped out, the clay compacts, the city settles, and like they said, they're predicting over the next 100 years or so, it will sink 65 feet. As it sinks, like you said, I want you to just imagine for a second the kind of public works project that it's going to take to fix all those busted pipes. I mean, they're losing 40% of their water right now. And then after you do it, after you fix it, it's going to break again. Thank you, Katie Carroll. What do they need to do? Move. They have to move. In the end, there is no way to replenish enough water to feed Mexico City. Who's going to move first? It will be the poorest folks. They'll be the ones starved out of water first. They won't be able to afford it. It'll be the older folks. This is Valle de Bravo, to give you an idea of why we're seeing the political shift that we're seeing. This is Valle de Bravo. A lot of people have never really heard of this. Most people haven't really heard of this. This is kind of like, this is, as the Hamptons are to New York City, Valle de Bravo is to Mexico City. This is a beautiful place. I love Mexico. I like to travel in Mexico. Most Americans, for some reason, don't. I don't get it. It is Mexicans are the nicest people. They're super friendly. This is one of the safest places on earth. It is full, just chocked full of 5-star resorts and restaurants. And this is their Hamptons. There are massive estates all around Valle de Bravo. And it is really a beautiful place. And it is one of the reservoirs. It's built on one of the reservoirs that is part of the Cutzamala system. One second. Got a note here. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the comments. But yeah, it's on Lake Avogado. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Here's the problem. Crystal, nobody. How are they going to move that many people, and how will the poorest be able to afford to build new homes where they live? Exactly. You're starting to get the sense of the problem we're facing. This is Lago Avogado. This is one of the three major lakes that makes up the Cutzamala system that provides water to Mexico City. It is going dry. Lake Lake Miguel Alemán is also, it's one of the biggest lakes in the country, is going dry. It's at like 26% capacity at this point. And the people of Mexico know it. That is why, okay, that's why they elected Claudia Sheinbaum, the new president of Mexico. For the first time in, somebody fact check me here, I want to say it's 25 years. This is the first time they have switched parties. And Claudia Sheinbaum was the mayor of Mexico City. She is seen as someone who is willing to address these problems. Because right now, this is what's going on, folks. And this is why you need to apply it here. I want you to think about Texas. I want you to think about our power grid. I want you to think about the things that are happening here. Because this isn't just there. It's happened in Russia. It happens everywhere in the world where the people, ask our European audience why it is so critical that they stay so active and so much part of their government. And this is why I'm so proud of you for doing the things that you're doing. Because, folks, what's going on is those wealthy estates I was telling you about, the rich people didn't say, you know what? We should work on this problem. We should pool our resources together and fix this. Let's fix the leaking water. We can stop the loss of 40% of the water if we just have massive infrastructure, public works in Mexico City alone. That's a 40% fix right there. If we just pool our resources. No, the rich people did. Exactly. You knew where I was going. They did. You know what they did? They built their own private lakes all around these reservoirs. They built their own private lakes. They diverted the runoff to their lakes, robbing water from the Cutzamala system. And that's what rich people will do. They will see these problems and say, how do I fix it for me? How do I fix this for me? Shannon Mack, I used to live in Phoenix. I left in 2017. Back in 2017, there was a published study by APS and the SRP that the desert Southwest would run out of water by 2050. It's happening fast. Exactly. Now, I'm telling you about a city. You can wrap your head around this. Bogota, Colombia. Bogota is in the same exact situation. Now, I want you to think about this for a second, and we're going to step away from Mexico City, and we're going to talk about the United States. Exactly. Jackson, Mississippi. Exactly. I want you to think about that. 21 million people are being run out of their homes. And they're dirt poor. And like the great question you posed, how can they afford to relocate? They can't. But they have to. They can't afford the water. And guess what? It gets worse next year. And the year after that. And the year after that. because these reservoirs are getting lower and lower and lower. The city is sinking more and more and more, which is causing more infrastructure problems and more infrastructure problems. This is a problem that just gets worse. And it got this way because of the attitude like they have here in Texas. See, here in Texas, we used to be run by Democrats, and everything that we built, our highways, our infrastructure, our electric grid, our water systems, we built reservoirs. Everything we built was for the future. We didn't just build enough to cover things. No, we built for the future. And Republicans came in and said, they're wasting your money. We can do better than that. And then they had shiny objects and distracted people with bigotry and all this other crap that they talk about all the time, other than real problems. Mexico went through the same thing, folks. And now that it's a problem that is a disaster that could have been headed off if we would have just had people in power that believed in government, that believed that we should take care of the people and the people's needs, it would have never got this bad. You want to see that here in the United States? Come to Texas, come to Mississippi. It's happening in real time right here, because they've got that same attitude. And what do the wealthy do? Same thing that they did there. How do I fix this problem for me? Oh, I better send old Clarence Thomas on another trip. Fire up the old yacht, honey. This is why I have to say I am so proud to be here with you. The 2025 project was the end of our country, folks. And you stopped it. You stopped it. You talking about it and getting your relatives to read about it. Look what's happening in France. Look what's happening all across Europe. People have had enough. This shit that is just textbook Putin and Russia and the oligarchs get what they want and screw everybody else. They have been trying to spread this all around the world, and the greediest among us, the Republicans, have been all on board, and the American people have had enough. They've had enough. It's not okay to let our cities die. It's not okay to say, hey, you know what? Phoenix runs out of water in 2050. It's 25 years from now. Let's not wait until 2055 when we're dealing with a crisis to start dealing with it. There are things that we can do. They're not cheap. Desalination plants is one. But yeah, folks, that's what I wanted to leave you with. This isn't a game. You have Kamala Harris, who is a serious person. She's a serious person. She has had a real career. She's worked as a prosecutor. She's worked in law and order. She sees what happens when you have lawlessness. She's seen it firsthand. She's a serious person. And we have serious issues. None of this stops just because the right-wing MAGA freaks are entertained for a little bit by Donald Trump. The problems keep coming. Just because my governor, Greg Abbott, says border, and makes up crap, doesn't mean that our highways aren't still turning to shit and crumbling right underneath us. And every time they do a repair, folks, they just did a repair on Highway 80 out here that was just a nightmare because they had no inspectors. the private company that was contracted to work on that road, recycled the road, chewed up the road. They spit gravel. The recycler they had didn't have the guards on the side of it, so they spit gravel into every driveway, literally poured mounds of gravel 2 feet high, 3 feet high, onto everybody's driveway, into their yards, grass, everything, for 15 miles, and just let it sit there. And let it sit there. Why? No regulation. No inspectors in place to say, you can't do that. If you don't move that, we're going to fine you. You can still drive down Highway 80 today. There's still piles of gravel. They finally came through. People started to threaten to sue. They finally came through and cleaned out people's driveways and stuff, but you can still see the piles of gravel lined on the highway, and they're not going to do anything with it. It's just going to sit there like a third world country. This is happening real time in the state of Texas right now today, and the state of Texas is supposed to be one of the wealthiest states. We got all that oil money. Folks, how things are managed matters. The focus on what people want to do matters. None of these problems are going away. They're all getting worse. And it takes work. And you folks are making the difference. You are sick of it. You are tired of it. You are done with it. No more Republic. Kill the Republican Party. Because the Republican Party is the party that will distract with bigotry. They will pander to the worst. Yes, Karen, thank you. The white nationalists. They will appeal to the worst among us. They will appeal to the white nationalists. They will appeal to the Christian nationalists. Any bad person that is already working on a cult just to have power, just to have power for themselves. And in the end, they destroy it for us all. And that's why when I was looking at this today and I was seeing what you've done online with calling them weird, because folks, that's what needs to happen. If you want to end MAGA, you've got to break their whole cult thing about how they're superior in their own minds, how much fun they have, making fun of other people. Yeah, call them weird. Call it out. Call them worse. Make it personal. That relative of yours that says and does stupid shit, point your finger at them and laugh. That will change this. That will change this. And that was the message from the moment I started. From the moment I started online, that was the message. You call me a commie, I'll call you far worse. I'll hurt your mama's feelings. By the time I'm done with you, you will never want to see my face again. And I'm proud of you folks. I really am. You see what you did with the 2025 project. Don't stop there. Don't stop there. The ball is rolling. Keep moving. Keep pushing. We are not going back. We are not going back. I love you folks. That's what I've got for you today. I'm just proud to be here with you. I appreciate you. And thank you for the support. I appreciate all the help keeping things rolling. All the contributions and stuff. I appreciate you allowing me to do this as a full-time job. Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day. Old Texas Paul out. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.